Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Today we're going to dig into our Vikings and Eagles matchups, how they did, our thoughts on that. But first, I didn't get to ask you last time, Lance. Looks like you're in yet another different location. You just keep moving around.
I know. I came back home this week. It's been good, Andrew. Well, actually, last week. Surprised my parents. We've had a surprise visit. It's been going really good.
Oh, that's cool. That's really
Speaking
cool.
of not having much time, Andrew, because what happened yesterday is my son woke up and it took me a lot longer than I thought it would to get him back to bed. We didn't comment on your new haircut. It's looking good, man.
Oh yeah, thank you. It was much needed. Much needed.
Yeah, that looks great. I know. I feel like I'm the traveling circus compared to you.
Yeah, I kind of stick around, at least during the week. Sometimes the weekends I'm not home. Like this weekend, I won't be home, but we record these during the week, so it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Which might actually help my Vikings because the times I haven't got to watch them, they've played well.
yeah. Don't talk yourself into that. That's not what's happening. Do you believe that stuff? I
No,
don't know.
no, I don't believe in that superstitious stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I feel like it's just sometimes it's your week, sometimes it's not.
Yep,
But
yep. Which that's a good segue. We should dig in. Who should we touch on first? The
well,
offensive juggernaut game, as was the Monday night game, or the turnover special game, as the Vikings and Ravens game was. Which one should we touch on first?
we'll let you go first. Cover your Vikings.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not going to talk much about the defense because I thought they played really well. They There was a couple times they could have played a little bit better, but they were put in such bad scenarios. Um, Short fields, back on the field quickly. I think they lost the margin as far as time of possession. I think the Ravens won that. But there's only thing that it's not a gripe, it's a wish it could be better was there were so many tipped passes that we just didn't get our hands on. It would like the D line would tip pass, it would go up and it would go like 2 yards over our DB's head, just couldn't get over to get it. Or Andrew Van Ginkel had two that were almost in his hands that he could have done his Van Ginkel special pick sixes. It was just that close, like 5 or 6 times. And if just one of those came through, would have turned the game around. But that happens. Sometimes you don't get the bounce your way. And the defense just didn't get it. But overall, they played really well. They held Lamar Jackson to 176 yards passing, only one touchdown. That's really good. And his one passing touchdown was on a short field, which we'll get to. Derrick Henry, 20 carries, only 75 yards, 3.8 average. That's awesome. You're holding Derrick Henry at 3.8 average. Fantastic job. Lamar Jackson only had 36 rushing yards. You contained him pretty much. Only one that got loose on us was Keaton Mitchell on a couple draw plays that we weren't ready for. He had 4 carries for 31 yards, 7.8 average. But overall, we held them to a 4.2 average yards per carry. That's not bad. I can accept that. Our defense played well, and their highest receiver was Zay Flowers, 75 yards on 4 catches. I mean, our defense played well enough to win. It was a couple other things, the reason why Minnesota just couldn't pull this off. And overall, I came past this game more happy than I was frustrated because I saw flashes of signs of growth. And looking back at it, our three toughest games this year, three best teams we've played, we either won against the Lions or we had a very good chance to win against the Eagles and Ravens. So we are competing with the top talent in this league. I like that, especially with Carson Wentz in one of the games, who he is not a top 30 quarterback, and basically a rookie quarterback in his third or fourth start. We are competing in these games or winning like we did against the Lions. So this team is well built. We just got to quit getting in our own way, which leads me to penalties. I'm going to start with that. Eight, eight pre-snap false start penalties at home. How is that happening? Quarterback is a lot to blame there because the cadence isn't quite right, and he's changing it. And he's making a lot of checks at the line, which that I like and I don't like at the same time. How many checks JJ McCarthy does at the line, it's showing the confidence and his growth and how much he's seeing. But at the same time, let's make it simple. Let's do some simple plays instead of checking to something that's going to change the offense completely and hopefully have a good matchup on the outside or something like that. Let's just keep it simple. So I kind of like and don't like how often he changes the play at the line. Again, A, it shows how smart he is, and how confident he is, but B, we need to keep it simple for him. So the penalties are a big thing. We had like 13 penalties for over 100 yards. That's very difficult to win when you do that. We outgained the Ravens by probably almost 100 yards total. I think we had like 6 yards per play. They were like four. So we won that battle, but the penalties just killed us. And Kevin O'Connell said something that was the reason why he didn't run as much. I don't fully believe him, and I'll get to that. I'll get to KOC at the last part, but
Wait a minute.
he was
He
saying
literally said it was because of the penalties, or
he was mentioning because so many false starts, 1st and 15, he didn't
okay,
feel like we
okay.
should run on 1st and 15. Which, yeah, but I'm not fully buying that because of his history with the running game, and we'll get into him last. But the penalties are just awful, and it was at home, offensive line, and there's this story that Aaron Jones is saying that the Ravens were trying to fake the cadence, and I don't fully believe that either. Were they barking? Sure, but they weren't trying to. That's illegal, and I don't think the Ravens were doing something illegal. So I'm not buying that. And I was happy that KOC and McCarthy took full blame and didn't even go into that story at all. They took full blame, and I mean, one of the first things McCarthy said is he leads the orchestra. I forgot the word he said, but he leads the orchestra, so it's on him.
The
He's the
conductor?
orchestrator of the orchestra. That's what he said. He's the
Okay.
orchestrator of the orchestra. So all those penalties are on him. 22 years old, and he's saying things like that. That's awesome. But the penalties killed us. And gotta give a shout out to Miles Price because he had a really, really bad fumble. He's been really good. Great kick returner for us this year. So I am not out on him at all. He's been phenomenal. He helped us win the Lions game. But this game, it's a 12-10 game. We just gave up a field goal in the third quarter, about halfway through the third quarter. We haven't given up a touchdown yet. And he gets a kick return. He's fighting for yardage, fighting for yardage. On a kick return, if you're fighting for 1 or 2 extra yards, I don't know if that's necessary because it's not like you're trying to get a first down. It's just instead of on the 29-yard line, it's on the 30. Is that super necessary? But he was fighting, clawing to get one more yard, and the ball gets punched out. And then the Ravens recover on like the 27-yard line. That's their first touchdown, was because of that. That's a huge momentum changer. Instead of us having the ball, trying to get a drive going, in some clock, possibly scoring, who knows? We give the ball right back to the Ravens. They go score. Now they're up 19-10. That's kind of the ball game in a way because the Ravens are such a good team that you're not going to come back from two scores with that little time left. The Vikings still fought. I was proud of them after that, but that was such a momentum changer right there. Was that fumble? I got to give that to Miles Price. He knows he did wrong there. He owns it, but you got to do better. You can't fumble the ball on kick returns. That's just awful. Now I'm going to get to McCarthy. So everyone is saying he had a terrible game. If you look at the box score, it doesn't look great, but if you use your eyes, he had a fourth start quarterback game. There were some highs, there were some lows. It was a roller coaster. He was missing some throws high, but then there was times where he stood in that pocket and he threw a dime on a laser to a receiver. There was one play particular, it was like a second or third down, where he threw a missile over the middle of the field in between two defenders, and the receiver turns, catches it, and gets like 23 yards. I was like, whoa, okay. I like that. That was one of those flashes of there's something in there as far as talent. But some of his mechanics were off. Like I said, he was throwing high on a few throws. And now let me get to the two interceptions. So the first one was bad, and he knows it. He thought he had Jefferson one-on-one on the outside, but he kind of underestimated the safety speed, and the safety caught up, picked it off before it got to Jefferson. So that's, again, forced start. That's something you got to learn, the speed of this game. And he saw Jefferson with one guy on him, and whenever you see Justin Jefferson with one person on him, you're gonna throw him the ball most of the time. But he underestimated that safety. What he needs to learn more than that is when to just give up on the play and run the ball. Looking back on that particular play, we were up 10-3 at that point. And it was kind of a punt because it was a long pass. It was like a 30, 40-yard pass. But in
Mhm.
this scenario, I don't think that was a good play. The Carson Wentz one against the Eagles, when he had pressure in his face, it was like third long and he just chunked it deep. I'm not going to really fault him for that because if that's incomplete, we punt it and it's like the same thing. But this one was different. Looking at the play, before he threw the ball, if you look at the field, he had empty grass in front of him for probably 20 yards. He just needs to learn when to tuck it and run. And he'll learn that. That's experience. And in the second half, he was doing that more. He was tucking and running, using his legs, getting yards. I liked it. But that play, you're up 10-3. It's like 3rd and 7 or something like that. And instead of kind of forcing it Jefferson, which to Jefferson isn't sometimes forcing it, what? If you just use your legs, you get at least 15 yards. Drive continues. We might get points as opposed to an interception, which led to a field goal. That's something he's got to learn. The second interception wasn't his fault. It was 3rd and 1, and there's a lot of people really angry about the play call. I loved it. It's 3rd and 1 from the 50-yard line. And of course, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, if you don't get this, you're going for it on 4th and 1 because it's at the 50. If it's at the 30, I do get it that I would be upset about the play call. But it's at the 50, it's at midfield. And the idea was they went jumbo package with Justin Jefferson on the outside, one-on-one, no safety help. I'm dialing that up every time too. I don't blame KOC at all because 80-85% of the time, one-on-one at Jefferson, that's either complete or incomplete. Those are great odds. And then if it's incomplete, 4th and 1, maybe draw up a shorter pass play or run up the middle, get that first down, continue the drive. But unfortunately, what happens is Jefferson tripped on Marlon Humphrey's feet. So no flag. That happens. I wasn't upset about that, but it just bad circumstance because right after McCarthy threw the ball is when he tripped. And then Marlon Humphrey just easy interception. So I love the play call. Be aggressive. People are saying you don't dial up that play on 3rd and 1. Continue to drive and and dial that play up on first down. I'm sorry. Justin Jefferson's not going to be single cover on first down. He's just not. He's going to be bracketed like he always is. But on 3rd and 1, when they think you're going to run the ball, and the back of your mind, you're going to go for it on 4th and 1. I get it. I really get it. I love that play call. Love that aggressiveness because if Justin Jefferson doesn't trip, that's either complete or incomplete. And then we go for it on 4th down. But unfortunately, he tripped. And then the Ravens picked that ball off. And then the Vikings defense had to get right back on the field. This was when they were down 19-10, is this play. They go right. Actually, no. This was the first drive of the third quarter. First drive of the third quarter. We're driving on the 50-yard line, and that interception leads to a field goal instead of us getting points. But I don't blame McCarthy. I don't blame KOC. That's just bad circumstance. It happens. So overall, McCarthy I thought was more fine than bad. He had 248 passing yards, 20 for 42. That's not great. Like I said, some of those balls kind of sailed a little bit. He'll learn that. But I only fault him for one interception. That other one wasn't his fault. But now the biggest culprit, KOC. So whenever your fourth game quarterback has 48 called pass plays as opposed to 13 called run plays, that's a problem. That's a problem. Like I said, he's saying that 1st and 15, he doesn't want to run because it's not highly successful. I don't care. Run the ball, get 4 yards. 2nd and 11 is okay, as opposed to incomplete pass, 2nd and 15. I mean, and they were averaging 6.7 yards a carry.
Do you think though, with
6.7 yards a carry.
well, they still would have had probably like 5.7 because Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason were averaging
They were doing
5.2 and
great.
6.3.
Yep.
But the
They were
JJ
doing great.
McCarthy is really what bumps you guys up. He got an
Right.
average of 9.6. Um,
But
so probably
in
closer
the
to the
game
five
in the
yard
game flow,
mark.
they were eating that defense apart whenever they were called to run the ball. And I do get it. Once you're down 19-10, you do kind of lean more pass because you're down two possessions halfway through the third quarter. So you lean more pass, but you don't abandon the run. And that's kind of what he did. And there was a stat that on every single third and fourth down this game, every single one, no matter if it was third and one, fourth and one, or third and eight, third and nine, every single one was either a pass or a punt. You got to be more balanced than that. If the team knows you're going to pass on third and two, you're not going to convert most of the time. And I think on pass plays so far this year, on third and short or fourth and short, Minnesota's like 20% success rate on passes and like 70%
Mm.
on runs. You need to know those numbers. You have good running backs. Aaron Jones was eating them apart. Jordan Mason was getting some good yardage as well. Got to run the ball more, KOC. He's got to. Like I said, I don't blame him on third and one. I love that play call. But the rest of the game, he needed to get to the run game more. Now, there is a little silver lining in not doing that, and that's getting JJ McCarthy a ton of pass attempts, getting him trying to work on his mechanics and live game scripts. So in 2 years, this game is going to be really good for McCarthy because he was inaccurate. His decisions were great. He was just inaccurate. So you can work on your accuracy. You can't work on your confidence and your decision making. That's something you either have or don't have for the most part. So it's going to be really good in the long run, this game, looking at the silver lining. But this was a winnable game. If he would have ran the ball, like if it was 48-13, if it was more like 39-21 or 39-23, we win this game. We absolutely win this game. If it's more close to like a 60-40 split as opposed to what, like an 80-20 split as far as pass to run, I do believe we win this game if we run the ball 30% more than we did. But that's not KOC. He wants to run his system, and he's going to run his system into the ground because fortunately it's proven to work because we were averaging, like I said, over 6 yards a play. We were eating this defense up, but when it came down to it, we needed to run the ball more than we did. Got to give the Ravens credit. They had a great game plan that was conservative on offense, but they didn't have to do much. And they didn't want to take too many risks because Minnesota's defense is full of pressure and can get turnovers easily. So they were doing short passes, which again, we almost picked off like four of those short passes. We were reading it. It was awesome. But toward the end of the game in that fourth quarter, they were on the field too much, and the Ravens scored a long drive, easy touchdown because they were exhausted. I can't fault them for that. They played really well. I was very impressed with the defense, which overall it gives me high confidence going forward because we're done with our biggest difficult stretch. I know we're 4-5 right now, so it's not great, but we're still 2-0 in the division, and I have confidence in us to beat the Bears next week at home, even though we're 1-3 at home. But the Bears haven't looked great. I think we should be able to win that game. Will we? It's hard to say, but we should be able to win that game. We still have the Commanders on the schedule who are looking very bad right now. We have the Cowboys on the schedule. We can win that game. We have the Giants on the schedule. They're not looking great. Who knows what happened with Jackson Dart? They just fired their coach too. We can get to that. We do have the Seahawks and then Packers twice and Lions once. So those are tough, but we already beat the Lions. And the Packers don't look like a vaunted team that they were said to be at the beginning of the year. They're not that team. They're beatable. I have confidence in us in those games. Seahawks game I am concerned about because that's Seattle. That's going to be hard. That's our most difficult game left on the schedule. I am not afraid of Green Bay at Lambeau. I think we can hang with them. And then we have Detroit at home because we already beat them on the road. Seattle, I'm concerned about, but I truly think we can go. I think there's what, 8 games left, 7 games left. I think
You'll
we
have
could
8
go.
games left.
I think we can go 6-2, like legitimately. I believe we could. I believe we split with the Packers. We lose to the Seahawks. Rest of the games are winnable. We go 6-2. There's a chance at the wild card. A chance.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, the way that the conferences are stacking up, their
Yeah,
divisions are stacking up, it's going to be super
it's
tough.
tough. It's going to be tough, yeah, but we're not out yet. Now, going 6-2 for the rest of these 8 games, that's not easy because every game's tough, but I think legitimately 6-2 is not out of the question because of how much this team competes. They just got to get out of their own way. Like I was saying, we lost this game. I don't think the Ravens won. They made the plays they needed to make. I'll give them credit where credit's due, but when you have over 100 yards of penalties and 3 turnovers, and then you lose by one score, that's on the team that committed those self-destructing decisions.
Do you think that the field was an issue? Because I noticed there's a couple times that the field seemed to be a problem for Derrick Henry when he was running the football. Do you think that was a similar situation for Justin Jefferson, or do you think it was just caught up?
So for Jefferson, so I do what you were saying. Derrick Henry did slip a couple times, and I thought that was odd. But for Jefferson, it was in the field. There was a few other things. One, he just tripped. It wasn't the field that tripped him. He just literally he stepped on Marlon Humphrey's foot when they were
Okay.
just neck and neck, and he just tripped over
Hmm.
Marlon Humphrey's feet. Again, that's just bad circumstances that just happen sometimes. But overall, he was frustrated in this game because he felt like he wasn't getting calls, which that's neither here nor there. Sometimes you get calls, sometimes you don't. There was one specifically though that was toward the back of the end zone where he was locked arms with the DB and the DB wouldn't let his arms go up to try to go for the ball and they didn't throw a flag on that one. I thought that one should have, but the rest of them it's just bad circumstance. It's just how that's just the game flow sometimes. He only had like
Hmm.
4 catches but 12 targets. So JJ was hunting for him, but just bad day at the office kind of thing. I don't think it was the field for Jefferson. I do what you're saying about Henry. He did slip a couple times. So the field wasn't
Well, and
great.
it it just was like really bad slips. Like, wow, there was
Hmm.
no give from the field. The field just completely
Yeah.
took his leg and just slid him, at least half a yard left or right. And
Hmm.
I don't know. That's my struggle with turf. I feel like turf is not very
Yeah.
conducive at times to the run to, the safety of players.
Hmm.
Um, I do understand why it's convenient. I think there's a lot of arguments why people are for it. You don't have to worry about watering it. You don't have to worry about bringing grass in and out of arenas or stadiums that are enclosed.
Hmm.
But yeah, so no, I get what you're saying there. I think it's just, this game was, we said it in the lead up to last week, but it was a tough lead up. The Ravens needed this game. They needed this game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. If
and they
they
can,
lose, they're pretty much out. Minnesota loses, they have a slight bit of hope because of how well they're playing in division.
well, I mean, I think you also got to look at it too. The way your division's playing affects the way you play as a team.
Hmm.
Because, if you're Minnesota right now, I think that they're playing tough because they can sense this. Okay, our division's not really taking off with the lead. You got the Lions playing the Eagles next week. That's a very losable game.
Hmm.
Packers are. I think it's more than the Packers are playing well. Kraft being out has really hurt that team.
Yeah. And they played
It's
to their competition. Like they played to their competition. They played to the Browns, lost at the end. They played to the Panthers, lost that at the end. They played to the Eagles, fought the whole game, just didn't come out on top. So whatever their competition is, great or bad, they're going to play to that. And it's just can they eke it out at the end?
yeah. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was going to add to what you said. Um, I really think, I don't know, the more and more I watch this team, because I got to watch a little bit of the Vikings game, but KOC, I think, needs to bring in someone else. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's an offensive game assistant. I don't know if it's a new
Oh, like a
offensive
play caller or
coordinator.
a decision maker?
I don't know if that's what I mean. I just like, oh, what's his name? The Lions have it this year. The former coach is it David Shaw from the Stanford Cardinals?
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Someone like that to come in and to just talk through game management situations. I noticed several times during the Lions broadcast that David Shaw is talking to Campbell and Goff.
Hmm.
He is an assistant, but he's not. He's more than that. He's
Hmm.
clearly involved, and it's appropriate. He's a former head coach, so I think he has every right to be
Right.
involved in a significant way. I just feel like KOC needs that. He needs someone that can help
Yeah.
him think through the balance of the game and it's hard, and it's really hard to be a head coach and to be a play caller. It's a benefit because you don't have to worry about losing talent or losing leadership as much in your offense
Hmm.
or defense, or depending on which side of the ball you're from. But it's also hard because as a head coach, there is benefit to being able to focus on the overall team, and you can't do that
Exactly.
when you're
Hmm.
the. So I just think that they need to think through that this offseason. How well is this
I
working
agree.
out?
I do agree. I believe that KOC does need he needs to absolutely run the offense. He needs to be head of the offense. But as when the game comes to kickoff, someone else needs to call the plays. It could be his plan. Like, okay, this is our game plan. These are our plays, but someone else needs to do that. I completely agree. I think it should be Josh McCown. He's their quarterbacks coach. He's played in the league for
Oh
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
long, long
absolutely,
time. He's
yeah.
very smart. He's gonna be an OC or a head coach someday. Absolutely is. 1,000,000%. But is on the Vikings right now, and they need to utilize him more. The problem is, I think KOC is too prideful. He believes in himself too much to do that. And issue with that is he has had success with that, but not this year. This year things are different. You need to run this offense a little bit differently with a basically a rookie quarterback, offensive line that's been ravaged with injuries, and running backs that can run the ball. You traded for Jordan Mason for a reason. You got two legitimate good running backs. Got to use them. Got to use them.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, man. When Andy Reid was in Philadelphia, we've talked about it in the past. He did not like
Yep.
running the football, and it was infuriating. I know that fans would agree with that, but it wasn't just that. I
Hmm.
mean, timeouts and um, it's hard. It shouldn't. It should. It's just weird to me because I feel like that the person that probably should be the most humble is the head coach, but that is
Right.
definitely not the way it always is in the NFL. And I'd say that there's times that it doesn't feel like that's the way. Um,
Hmm.
but man, you got to be humble and you got to be willing to say, I'm making a mess of things. I'm making this more
Hmm.
complicated. It's not just orchestration to me. You have to give it preferences. But yeah, I think those are all good observations, man. And the Vikings fought hard, and to me, I feel like if the Vikings approached the season with it's great if we have a playoff run, but we realize this is a retooling year. I think that that helps reinforce that you can be okay with some of these setbacks because the goal is to eventually get to the Super Bowl. It's not to have a great season. I mean, yes, it's part of it, but you want
Hmm.
sustained long-term success. Um,
Yeah.
you
This
know,
season needs to be all about McCarthy.
hmm
Get him reps, get him games. Like that game against the Ravens was great. Lots of learning opportunities there. Look at the film. Look how your hips weren't turned the right way. Look how you're jumping in the pocket, not quite right. Look where you could have ran there. Learning opportunities galore the rest of the season. Win, lose, draw. That's the idea. Now, this team is good enough to make a playoff push. They absolutely are. But that should not be the main goal. The main goal should be develop McCarthy the rest of the year because this team, people keep saying it's a really old veteran team, but really there's only like two players that might like call it after this year, and that's Harrison Smith and Ryan Kelly. Because Ryan Kelly's concussions, he might want to look at his future. He's not like old yet. He's like 32. So centers, you can play a little bit longer, but those concussions are a problem. So that's a possibility. And Harrison Smith, he's old, and you can tell he's probably going to retire after this year. But after that, the rest of the starters aren't that old. I know Allen's a little bit up there, but it's not like we're relying
well,
on him.
but I mean, I think you have to be fair with the fact like Hargrave, I think would be considered old by defensive line standards. Kendricks is old by
Yeah.
linebacker standards. Um,
Who?
you know, Kendricks,
We don't have Kendricks. We have
right?
Wilson.
My
We have Eric Wilson.
oh yeah, sorry,
But
excuse me.
he's
Yeah.
what we ask of him to do, I think you can play until you're like 33, 34 because he's not really in coverage, losing speed on these really quick receivers or tight ends. He's asked to fill run lanes and rush the passer. And you can do that when you're like 33, 34. He's like 31, 32. So he's got like 2 more years left. Same with Blake Cashman. He's like 30. He's got a couple more years left. You can play until you're like 32, 33 as linebacker. Corners and safeties, that's different. But outside of Harrison Smith, the rest of our corners and safeties are fine. They're like mid to high 20s. That's fine. We have probably 2 more years left of our entire core team as far as before we got to figure out, all right, we got to get another corner because Byron Murphy's now 29, or, we got to worry about our right tackle because O'Neal's now 33. We have a couple more years left till we got to worry about that. So I think if we develop McCarthy the right way and we have like a 14th draft pick and maybe pick up another safety in the draft because Addison's still young, Jefferson's still young, Hawkinson's not that old yet. Um, we have a shot next year as long as
Hmm.
McCarthy is developed. Aaron Jones might leave, but I mean, he's been good,
It wouldn't
but I
kill
really
you
like
guys.
Jordan Mason. Yeah, I really like Jordan Mason. We need to pick up another running back somewhere, but you can find running backs. You can find backs.
Yeah. Well, J.K. Dobbins has proven that, the 1 year rental markets, and
Hmm.
oh man, Andrew, I'm thinking of the running back for the Cowboys this year. That was with the Broncos.
But Javante
Oh
Williams,
yeah, Javonte Williams. Same thing.
hmm
Well, anything else
Rico
you wanted to cover?
Dowdle.
Yeah, Rico Dowdle's a great example of that. Um,
Only other thing I want to touch on is the division itself. So Lions and Packers are still leading the division. They're still really good teams. So that's going to be tough to overtake them. But I want to caution Bears fans. They're 6-3 right now. Got to give them credit. They're playing really well. But they just got through their weak part of their schedule. Look at some of their wins. Raiders, Saints, Bengals, Giants. And all those games were close down to the wire where they won. Credit where they came up clutch and won.
mhm.
But rest of their schedule at Minnesota, home against the Steelers, at the Eagles, at the Packers. Then they got the Browns. Okay. That should be a win. Then home against the Packers, at the 49ers, home against the Lions. That's brutal, man. They're 6-3, so they banked the wins they needed to bank because the tough schedule's coming up. They need to have a good record. They do. Give them credit, but I don't know. It's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs with the rest of the schedule. And they haven't looked great in these games they're favored in. I'll just say that. Not easy games, but games they're favored in. They haven't looked great. They came out on top. Give them credit, but they need to make sure that they're ready for some difficult stretch coming up.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And the Eagles and the Bears will be facing each other in just a couple weeks, well, 3 weeks. So
Hmm.
it's going to be a good
Yep.
matchup.
That's on Thanksgiving?
It's on Black Friday.
Black Friday. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Well, should we hop over to the Eagles game?
Let's do it. Let's do that fun 10-7 victory.
Andrew, I just want to take a moment to take a victory lap and say that the Jalen Phillips haters deserve an apology or to apologize for how they treated Jalen Phillips after the trade.
I don't understand why they were hating that trade. I thought that was a steal for the Eagles, especially because you gave up your late third round pick. That was a great move.
Yeah. Um, we'll get to it later as far as I wanted to compare it to another trade, but let's focus first on this game. The impact that Jalen Phillips had was instant, instant.
Hmm.
The part that I really like about that is when I saw Jalen Phillips on the field, the first play, I was like, oh, Vic Fangio loves this guy. Because if there's
Hmm.
one thing you should know about Vic Fangio is he never starts people that are new. That's a policy he's
Mm.
maintained. Makuba, DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, like they all had to really work their way up to get to where they are. Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo, or Ojamo, I think is how they pronounce his name. He's only had his name pronunciation changed like at least 5 times in his NFL career, so it's made it really, really tough.
Hmm.
It's been fun to listen to podcasts about it. But Jalen Phillips had a lights out game, really, really good. Nolan
Yeah.
Smith, having those two guys together on the defensive front made
Yep.
it
It's
huge
huge.
difference. I was very, very impressed by how they played. I continue to be miffed by why Adoree Jackson is starting at cornerback too. Again, there's a couple moments that I'm just like, you're not in position. You're not in position to make a play. Um,
Yeah.
it was very, very strange to me, but it's what they want to do. I don't understand it. I know Jacorian Bennett is coming back from injury, so maybe they felt like he wasn't ready yet. I don't know. Jair Alexander, as you predicted, was not available, which was frustrating. Um, I do think that I don't mind the move. I don't mind the thought process. We'll just have to see how
Hmm.
it goes the rest of the year. But they didn't bring in for this game. I was confused by Michael Carter didn't have more of a role. I did
Yeah,
not see
I was
him.
as well. Yeah,
I feel
I'm
like
with
this
you.
was a good experiment game to me.
Hmm.
The Packers, I would say the Packers have a slightly better wide receiver core than the Buffalo Bills.
I can agree with that. They have talent there. They're just not any ones. They have like nine
No,
twos.
I don't even know if they're twos. Like I don't even know if they're high end twos. Maybe low end twos. I mean, Devontae Smith to me
Yeah.
is the new version of a two to me, like a T Higgins. Like those guys are like those are what I think of like what you want as a two if you can.
Hmm.
Um, or like Jalen Naylor or um, uh, oh my goodness, come on, Lance,
Jordan
Jordan
Addison.
Addison. Yeah, gosh, my I am just slipping names in my head. So back to the game, I was very impressed with Jalen Phillips. Thought he did a great job.
Hmm. Yep.
Really impressed with how the defensive line played. Jalen Carter had a really good pressure during the game that really impacted the play. But I've got no qualms with the defense. There's a couple of miscues. There's a couple of times where I'm like, okay, this guy's not in the right spot. That guy's not in the right spot. But they played about as good of a game as you can play. I mean, to hold the team to
Absolutely.
7 points is amazing. It's really, really
Hmm.
amazing. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth bringing up on defense. Bond had a really good tackle during the game. He also had a couple of good moments where he just really helped provide pressure. Um,
Hmm.
so I think that's good. We really do have an embarrasses of riches right now in the front end of our defense. I mean, having Dean and Campbell and Bond, and then the defensive line now having Phillips and Smith
Hmm.
back. Hunt had a great sack during the game
He did.
that
Yep.
basically killed a drive. Um, one part that I was thinking about for this game, this is common on both teams. Their the willingness to go for kicks was almost not there by either team last night. It was very strange. I do understand McManus's injury, but they trotted him out for a 64-yard field goal. And he was like 4 yards short.
Hmm.
Very weird. I don't. I felt like both teams played cowardly last night. Not just one, both of them. I think took turns in their own ways, playing cowardly and giving up on things. So now switching over to the offensive side of the ball, and really there is not much to dig into because the fact there was so little execution. Brett Toth starting at center absolutely killed our team last night. Um, there were at least half dozen plays I remember that he was supposed to block somebody and he just didn't. He just completely made the wrong. There's one play we did a zone left run play, which is where you take the offensive lineman is in charge of the person to their left. So he was supposed to take Dickerson's guy, and Dickerson was supposed to go out, and he just let him go. Completely missed him and goes his way upfield to go for the linebacker. And that defensive lineman that was Dickerson's person just runs right in the backfield for like a 5 yard tackle, uh, you know, minus 5 yard tackle. It was just so weird. Dean and Brett Toth were doing a double team to a linebacker, and Steen was supposed to pill off when they ran right to take a linebacker that was coming through the gap, and Steen totally missed him. I mean, just really weird. Like, what are we doing? Um, I I really think I was thinking about this. I wish that Eagles reporters did grades for offensive line. I don't think it helps that they do offensive grades because that's what I see most of them do. I don't think they're being very objective about it. I think they just kind of legacy go, oh, this is a great offensive line. Let's give them a B plus. No, this was like a C minus D plus game. Not a good game. They did not play well. Fred Johnson did good. I was really impressed with him having to come in for Lane Johnson. The switch out was not bad. He did a great job
Hmm.
subbing in for Lane Johnson. Jordan Mailata was fine. Although, Jordan, you've got to stop tapping the defensive linemen when you think they're offsides. Like, enough. Okay. You're costing your team 5 yards by trying to be cute. Enough. I'm not sure who's telling him to do that, but stop.
Hmm.
Like, that was such a big play last night. It really hurt the drive. Um, just stop it. You're making it harder on yourselves. Quit being desperate for calls. Just play your game. Um, unless it's like obvious. It better be obvious if you're going to be the one to jump.
Hmm.
It was very, very frustrating. Hurts was up and down. The fumble felt fluky, and that doesn't feel like something that's going to happen a lot going forward. It was
Yeah,
just
his
a
knee was like that close for being down. It was
well,
close.
Jalen knows what he would say. I know he would say it. I
Hmm.
got to put two hands on the ball, and he does. He has to put two hands on the ball as he's going into
Right.
contact. And he got a little reckless.
Hmm.
It was a great play call. That first drive, I felt like Petullo was making great, great calls. And then,
Yep. That was probably a touchdown if it doesn't fumble. They were probably
yeah,
going to get 7.
it kind of just sometimes with this offense, it reminds me of like Groundhog Day. Their shadow is
Mm.
a turnover, and then they see the turnover and they get scared and they just play completely different. Because to me, the rest of the game, they played timid. They just
Hmm.
so many 3rd and 10s and 3rd and 11s that they ran
I
the
was gonna
football.
say that. I was gonna
Oh,
say that. I was like, I understand maybe a couple times. See if you can get him in like a deep zone defense and a draw and maybe get like 10 yards and think about going for it on like a 4th and 2. Couple times I get it, but there was like 4 or 5 times it was a run play every time. I was thinking, man, did they give up on their drive already?
yeah, it was very weird. Yeah, I don't know. It was very strange. Saquon Barkley had a really big catch in the third quarter, or I guess no, it was fourth quarter. That he broke for like 40 yards. That really was a big play that the Eagles needed to get going.
Hmm.
Um, I know Saquon's not having a good year, but Saquon seems to be this just continued to churn for yards. Let's just keep
Hmm.
working, staying focused. He's one of the most laser focused players on the Eagles right now. He doesn't get distracted very easily. And I think that's just a perfect example of I don't care how many yards I'm getting, I'm going to keep giving my best effort. And then to follow that up with the dagger to Devontae Smith, that was a great sequence. Um, I just think right now, I know people are going to be tempted to go after Patullo, and I think rightfully so to some degree. Um, but I'm really frustrated with Jeff Stoutland right now. I don't feel like he's putting the offensive line in good positions to
Mm.
succeed. And at some point, when you're making enough bad reads, you got to coach it out because I mean, like Andrew, I should not be able to see how bad they're missing, but I am. Like I as an average NFL fan who played some football in my life, should not be able to go, wow, he just totally missed the assignment. Wow,
Hmm.
he totally missed the gap he was supposed to be in. But that happened again and again and again. Um, and it's tough for Brett Toth. Cam Jurgens is a great center. It's a huge endeavor to ask him to do. It's just frustrating because, you look at Fred Johnson. Fred Johnson comes in every game. He's ready. He knows exactly what to do. I mean, he's going up against a good defensive end. I mean, Gary's no pushover, and yet he's blocking his guy. He's giving Hurts
Hmm.
time. Like the bar should be no lower for Toth. If this guy can do his job, you can do your job. So we really need to get Cam Jurgens back in there, and hopefully he's going to be ready.
Hmm.
It is tough because I wish he would have been back, but I do agree with the Eagles' strategy. Let Cam Jurgens heal up, let him come back hopefully healthy. We don't want him to miss again because that's what was happening with Landon Dickerson. After Dickerson had that time off, he's come back a completely different offensive guard,
Yep. Yep.
very, very different. And I think that they're taking the same approach with Cam Jurgens. So hopefully, once we get Jurgens back, that will help just get the flow a lot more regulated and things are just more seamless along the offensive line because it's a big loss to lose your center. I mean, they make the play calls. They're the ones that are setting the
Hmm.
adjustments. They're looking for the blitzes. They handle the snap. Um, so yeah, I mean, and we could dig into that 4th and 8 weird mystery call, but I think that that's already been so dissected to death. That was a bad call. It was a dumb play. Made no sense with the sequence of what they were going for. And like the part that I was frustrated about, if we're going to be aggressive, go send out Jake Elliott and make it a 6 point game.
Hmm. With 30 seconds left.
Go send out Jake Elliott. If he
Hmm.
is, this elite kicker, which I still think he is, use him. Get him out in the field. Go make that
Yep.
kick. Don't go don't go do this dumb 4th and 8 deep pass that I don't know. I feel like AJ Brown wanted the ball in that moment. That's what I felt like to me. And that's why I think Nick Sirianno's shaking his head on the sideline is because I think AJ Brown made a plea for the ball. Jalen's like, all right, let's do it. But like this isn't Madden. This is an NFL game that if you lose
Hmm.
is going to significantly impact your season. Don't be stupid.
Hmm.
Very, very weird. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else I'd add to it. More concerned about the offense moving forward. We've got to find a way to do things better. But let's see what happens this week against the Detroit Lions. If Cam Jurgens is back, it'll be a great litmus test for how good this offense is going to be able to be. Because the Giants and the Packers, those are two different opponents in terms of level of competition for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, the Lions. That I think that's a bigger challenge than the Packers because of the
Oh yes,
offense.
definitely.
Um, because their offense is humming mostly, and I gotta say, there's so many people giving Dan Campbell so much credit for his first day play calling, and he scores 44. Look at the situation. Look at the opponent. They were playing the Commanders. Your season's over, and their heart's not in the game anymore. Dan Campbell had a good game, yes, but it's not like he had a Ben Johnson best play calling of his career type of game. Look at the opponent. If this was against like an Eagles defense or a Vikings defense or like a really good defense, I'm like, okay, wow, yeah, impressive. But it was the Commanders. I mean, backup quarterback, they couldn't stay on the field. I don't want to just crown him the best play caller in the league after one game, like everyone's trying to do. Let's just calm down. Um, and the other thing I wanted to say is, so we're basically saying that Carson Wentz is better than Jordan Love, basically, because Carson Wentz had
Oh,
over 300 yards passing, and Jordan
yeah.
Love didn't get to 200.
I've
Just
got one
saying.
more observation for you. You know when you know when a quarterback is not to fully blame for a bad game when the announcers are not able to pick up on moments where they make bad reads.
Mm,
Think about it. Think about how many times Troy Aikman was able to say, "Yeah, Jordan Love just messed this guy open across the middle right here. He missed him right here. He missed him right here." Like there was at least 10 to 12 moments where he was able to go back and say he just misses Dobbs. He misses Watson.
hmm.
Like he's not in this field of vision. And we did not hear that during the entire broadcast for Jalen Hurts. And I'm not trying to say Jalen Hurts
Hmm.
is that much better than Jordan Love. I'm just saying that you have to acknowledge the situation. And Love was in position to make plays and he just didn't.
Yep. Yep. And I don't want to keep saying that I'm right, but I've been out on Love since day one. Now, he has a ton of talent. His arm talent is phenomenal. He could turn around, absolutely. But right now, he's not. Right now, he's not an elite quarterback. He's a good quarterback because of his talent he has, but decision making and coming up big, he's been short in that so far.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's fair. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's really all I had for the Vikings and Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good week. As far as for the Eagles standpoint to get another victory and to just pat on the lead. And um,
Yeah,
yeah,
division is basically y'all's. That's it's over.
that's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to finally be
Hmm.
back to back champions of the NFC or NFC East,
Is this
excuse
the
me.
is this the first time that that's happened in like forever, a back-to-back division
Well,
champ?
as long as things hold true, yes. We do
That's
have
crazy.
I still have the 2023 season in the back of my mind, Andrew, so that the collapse could still happen, but I don't think it will. I think we will be able to pull
Yeah,
out the division this time.
especially with how the rest of the division is looking. I mean, your biggest competitor is the Cowboys.
I forgot. This is one thing I was gonna mention on the Cowboys front. We were talking about trades and Jalen Phillips and trading for a late third round pick.
Mm,
Very interesting that the Cowboys surrendered their best picks in their trade to the Jets. I think that's a classic sign of horrible management. You should not trade your best picks. You should trade your second of your best. They're like the second or the third of the options.
hmm.
And I think that Jerry Jones he got schooled. I know we disagree on that trade and what it'll mean, but I just felt very amateur-ish. It doesn't feel like it was well
Hmm.
executed. And it felt like the trade was negotiated from a position of desperation rather than a position of strength. And that it really impacted um, what they were able to keep versus what they had to give up.
I can't agree with you on giving up their higher of their draft picks. I do see what you're saying there, but for them not to give a first next year, they're giving them a two next year and then one the following year. So they have two first round picks in this coming draft. I think that's pretty big. And they get one of the top four, top five D tackles in the league to pair with Kenny Clark. Now they don't have much of a pass rush. They got to fix that. But getting a stud player that you know is gonna be a game changer against the run, I can't argue with that. They have a lot more pieces they got to get, but to pick up Williams, I like the move in a vacuum. The amount that gave up, I hear what you're saying there, but to keep your two first round picks for next year, to try to build your team next year, it's not for this year. Picking up Quinn Williams was not for this year. It's for next year. And I'm thinking, okay, if they can keep George Pickens, which is going to be tough because he's going to be expensive, but if they can keep him, hit on their two first round draft picks, probably both on the defense. The Cowboys could be something next year. Because they give I mean I felt like Williams should have been very similar to the Sauce Gardner trade, two first and a player, but they gave up a second and a first and a player. I know Gardner is younger and corner is the sexier player, but I don't know, D
I
line
mean,
sometimes is more of an impact.
there's a significant age difference between Williams and Sauce Gardner, though, right?
I think it's like maybe 2 years.
Williams is going to be 28 this year, so it's 3 years difference. There's 3 years between them. They're two
Okay.
years in terms of what they are right now, but Williams is going to get a year. He's going to go to 28 in December, so it's technically almost 3 years.
But in my mind, you can get a year or two more on the D line than you can corner. Corner is a big drop off once you hit like 29. D line, you can play to like 31-ish, sometimes 32, unless you're Calais Campbell and you can play for like 800.
That dude is such a good defensive lineman. He's such a
Hmm.
don't know why he
He's like
didn't
the
come to
Tom
Philly
Brady
to
of
go
D
win a.
linemen.
He should have come to Philly to win a championship, man. I know he went back to Clay. He went back to Arizona because that's where he's from. But
Hmm.
as far as to start his career, but Clay, Philly could have used
Hmm.
you, man. We could have had something beautiful together.
So yeah, overall, I like Williams to the Cowboys. It helps in need, and they picked up Logan Wilson from the
And
Bengals,
the
which is
Bengals.
also helping in need, stopping the run. That's what Jerry Jones wants, is to stop the run. All right, both those players will help. So mission accomplished. If that was what he wanted in the trade deadline, let's stop the run. Okay, that's improvement there. What are you gonna do against the pass? Because that's a big problem. But if he addresses that in the draft next year and they hit on some players, hey, something could be happening
Well,
there.
isn't Wilson a 1 year rental? I mean, that's the part that I don't understand here is how are you going to keep Pickens? He's going to be so expensive. And
That's a fair point. That's a
isn't
fair point.
Wilson a 1 year rental? Like you're 3-5. I don't understand. Oh, 3-5-1, to be fair. You're 3-5-1. Um, what are you doing? I don't understand it. I'm very miffed by these decisions.
Yeah.
They don't feel well executed. I just if you had traded for George Pickens and signed him to a deal,
Yeah.
okay, I understand the thought process. This makes sense.
Hmm.
But I mean, they don't have a second next year or a third. That's going to be a really tough gap to make up for. Um, I know they have two firsts, but those two firsts, well, they'll have one that's higher, most likely because of how bad their team's doing. But the Packers one, they're going to the playoffs. The Packers are going to get in there somehow. So it's going to be in the 20s. So it's not going to be a great draft pick. It'll be okay, but I don't know. I'm struggling to see how this is all coming together. I don't feel
Hmm.
I understand the the value of the player. Williams is a good player, and I'm not saying he isn't. I just it's a weird move for a franchise that's going nowhere fast to make. That's what I'm coming at it from.
Yeah. And I'm seeing that their past decisions, like signing Dak to that insanely stupid contract, that's bad. Picking up a player that already got his contract signed, and then so that, I mean, you don't got to worry about re-signing him. And it's hard to get players of his caliber. If you draft him, that's the ideal scenario. Absolutely. Draft a player like that, get him on a cheap contract. But the odds of hitting that are a lot lower than picking one up and say, hey, we know what he can do. We think we know what this rookie can do, but sometimes they're busts. Quinn Williams is not a bust. So I like the adding good players piece. And that might be because my team can't draft to save their lives. So I want them to do things like that. And the Cowboys have shown to be fine in drafts. Not perfect, but they've been fine. Like some of their draft picks this year have turned out pretty decent. Their guard, I think a couple of the defensive players have made some plays. They're fine. But a known commodity to me is worth more than a maybe.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Nope, that's it.
You gonna talk about the Bills getting destroyed by the Dolphins?
That was weird. That was,
I
I
think the
don't know what
Bills
to make
are
of.
might be the most overrated team. I'm almost ready to call that because they have Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks, but what else do they have? Their
Cook.
defense is sure, sure. Their defense is bad. They have no receivers. If you stop James Cook, you beat them.
Yeah, I mean it's been a weird season. I mean they've had some high moments, man. I mean they beat the Chiefs.
Sure.
That's a big thing for
Yep.
them. They beat the Ravens when the Ravens were really looking good. And then the
Game one.
Jackson
Yeah.
injury just totally derailed them. But then they just have inexplicably bad losses too. So yeah,
hmm
so it's a
I mean,
weird situation.
I'm not gonna say it yet because it'd be crazy to say this, but if they slip up one more time, I might call they missed the playoffs. I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know. Like I said, I'm
no,
not ready yet. I'm not ready yet to say that. But I mean, they still have the Patriots. The Patriots are looking really good. Like that's been one of the surprises of the season so far. So I'm gonna look at their schedule real quick. I'm just curious. I know they probably have the Jets again, so that's an easy win. I think they have them this week actually. Oh no. Oh.
oh they have the Buccaneers, don't
Oh.
they?
Oh. They have the Buccaneers. Then they're at the Texans. That's not an easy win. They're at the Steelers. That's not an easy win. They have the Eagles still. I don't know. Those are possibly four losses right there. And they already have four losses.
I think they split.
Three
I think
losses.
they go. I think they go 2-2, and that's it in that scenario between all those games.
Probably. Probably, but it's not a given. The way this team's playing so far, it's not a given.
I think I'm more worried about their seeding than I am about making the playoffs. But
That's
that's where
fair.
I would put my concern at, based on that situation. But
hmm
yeah, man, they got to get into high gear. It's
Yeah.
you cannot drop that one to the Dolphins, and they did. So oh well,
If
it's over.
if they come back and get it figured out and beat the Buccaneers, then I'm back on board saying, okay, they're a contender again. But if they lose to the Bucks, which is very possible, because the Bucks are a good team and hopefully they'll have some guys healthy, and they go 6-4 with going to the Texans and going to the Steelers back to back coming up. I don't know. They got to win both of those. If they're 6-4 and split that and go 7-5, I might
Mhm.
say that they missed the playoffs.
We'll see. It's
We'll see. It's too early to say. It's too early to say.
yeah, yeah.
Some of those
Now
losses are just
your
bad.
Commander's guess, Andrew, was spot on. That was spot on. Well done.
Well, I'm not gonna take a lot of credit for that because Jay Nail's getting hurt. Your starting quarterback getting hurt, missing 4 or 5 games. Your season is in dire straits and in trouble. Now, before he got hurt, they didn't look the best, but they still look fine. Possibly still a playoff contender if he stays healthy the whole year. But yeah, I can't take full credit whenever one of your main players gets hurt. Like if I said the Chiefs were going to miss the playoffs at the beginning of the year and Mahomes got hurt, I wouldn't take credit for that. So,
Yeah. Yep.
but I
No,
will
it's
take
fair.
credit for my Jordan Love take.
And the hatred continues. They're still a good team, man. And he's not a bad quarterback. He's like top 12. I still stand by that. Top 12
That's
quarterback.
fine. That's fine. Yeah, I can agree with that. But he's like given this elite status that he's like a top five guy right now, and that this team is Super Bowl contender. I'm thinking, okay, that's a little bit much for me. They're a good team, yes, good team, great defense. Josh Jacobs is phenomenal. They don't really have receivers. Their O line is solid, but Jordan Love's not a top five guy. Like everyone's kind of gifting him. It's just strange. I just don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yep.
They're a playoff team that'll probably get bounced out in the second round.
Yeah. That's fair. We'll see what happens come playoff time.
Hmm. All depends on the matchup.
Definitely.
Well, thank you guys for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
We'll see everybody.